Here's the geography of the state of California explained in under 6 minutes. Are you ready? Here we go. California is an incredibly geographically diverse state bordered by Oregon, Nevada, Arizona, the Mexican state of Baja California, and 850 miles of the Pacific Ocean. It is the third largest state by area, about a quarter the size of Alaska or double the size of Idaho. And it is by far the most populous state as well, with nearly 40 million people. Each of these colored areas on this map has the same population as California. That gives California the 11th highest population density in the country. The number one thing you have to understand about California's geography is that it is wildly diverse, so much so that I just made a whole video pretty much just naming different landscapes you can find in the state, so go check that out. But the main way that this diversity manifests itself as far as human geography is concerned is distribution of water resources within the state. California has huge climatic diversity as well, and runs the gamut from some of the wettest places in the country to some of the driest. And its main geographic challenge throughout history has been distributing those water resources throughout the state. Let's take a look. It's very common and useful to hear California divided into two halves, northern and southern, called NorCal and SoCal for short. NorCal and SoCal are so geographically distinct that they could be separate countries, let alone states. But generally speaking, Southern California is more arid and densely populated than its northern counterpart. In fact, in spite of only being 40% of the state's land, Southern California has 60% of its population. But there's an equally stark and less talked about divide between coastal and non-coastal California as well. More than 3/4 of Californians live within 50 miles of the coast, and the state's interior is occupied by arid deserts, high mountains, and dense forests. The state is home to 6 distinct mountain ranges, including the tallest in the lower 48, the mighty Sierra Nevadas. Formed by the collision of the North American and Pacific tectonic plates, these mountain ranges serve to wring moisture out of the wet Pacific winds, casting a long rain shadow over the rest of the American West, including the driest, hottest, and lowest place in North America, Death Valley. These mountain ranges trap moisture in the forms of clouds and fog, creating iconic cityscapes and allowing for the world's tallest trees to grow in Redwood National Park. The snow and rain that makes its way to the higher, steeper, and more rugged Sierra Nevadas also serves to nurture the world's largest trees in Sequoia National Park, before finding itself in rivers that soon enter a remarkably vast, almost completely flat plain known as the California Central Valley. One of the most striking geographic features in the entire country, the Central Valley is an incredibly low-lying plain where all the rivers eventually meander their way to a single point, the mouth of the Sacramento River in San Francisco Bay. The Central Valley is the most agriculturally productive region of the entire country, thanks to the sunny weather, abundant water, and fertile soils. About 20% of Californians live in the valley, and it is responsible for a huge amount of the nation's produce. I made a whole video on the Central Valley, go check it out. California is also home, though, to the 2nd and 5th largest metropolitan areas in the country, Greater Los Angeles and the Bay Area, which have 22 and 9 million people, respectively. The Los Angeles metropolitan area is particularly fascinating because although it occupies a large, mostly flat coastal tract of land, it does not have the makings of a great city by its local geography alone, with the most notable constraint being access to fresh water. Rivers and streams from the nearby mountains could only sustain about 10% of LA's modern population. So how did so many people get here? Well, in short, massive engineering projects. LA gets 88% of its water from 3 huge canals that bring in fresh water from hundreds of miles away. From smallest to largest, they are the Colorado River Aqueduct, the Los Angeles Aqueduct that brings in water from the eastern slope of the Sierra Nevadas, and the State Water Project that brings in water from the mouth of the Sacramento River. Nonetheless, though, the LA Metro really is a just add water kind of place, as everything else is pretty much perfect. Great weather, the largest port on the Pacific coast of the Americas, and access to the markets of Mexico. Heading north, the San Francisco Bay Area's most important natural feature is, well, the San Francisco Bay. This ecologically sensitive estuary is almost completely protected from the choppy waters of the Pacific Ocean, connected only by the 1-mile-wide Golden Gate Strait. Maybe you've heard of the bridge. This is the 2nd largest estuary on the Pacific coast of the Americas after Puget Sound in Washington, and is one of the most important harbors in the country, up there with Chesapeake Bay on the East Coast. About 40% of California's land area is drained by rivers that end up in the San Francisco Bay. Outside of the Central Valley, Southern Megalopolis, and Bay Area, though, most of California is conspicuously empty, with some of the country's largest wilderness areas, most isolated towns, and most productive mines. This synergy between resource-rich hinterlands and economically dominant cities is what has made California so powerful and populous to this day. Just add water. The major connective arteries of the state are I-5 connecting Mexico to Canada by way of San Diego, LA, and Sacramento, I-80 traveling from San Francisco all the way to Boston by way of Sacramento, I-10 and I-15 which travel from LA through Phoenix and Las Vegas respectively, and a budding but unfinished high-speed rail project that will one day connect Southern California to the Bay Area, currently about a 6-hour drive. And who could forget the iconic Pacific Coast Highway, one of the most scenic road trips in the entire world. The state is famously Democratic, but actually has the most registered Republicans of any state, none of whom get a vote that matters thanks to the Electoral College. Some notable sites to visit include Santa Monica Pier, Yosemite National Park, the Golden Gate Bridge, Lake Tahoe, Hollywood, and the Big Sur Coast. Californians, let me know what I missed in the comments below, and everybody else let me know where you think I should go next. Thanks for watching. Follow for more.